Yeah, it's CC, CEO. Wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder. I can teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychological black on firm, but we ain't all black.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? It's your girl, Constance Carter, and we are here tonight live and direct on Tuesday night. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. Everybody's coming in. I got a really exciting guest today that I want to talk to you about that is going to absolutely blow your mind. But before we do that, I want to see where everybody is coming from. Where is everybody hailing from? If you're from Africa, if you're from Europe, if you're from Chicago, if you're from Dallas, DC, New York City, Stockton, California, where are you hailing from tonight? Go ahead and put in the chat box because we want to know. Hey, Alicia, we want to know where you are coming in from, where you're watching from, and we want to interact with you. Now, every night that I come on every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I want you to know that this show right here, I want you to get engaged. Hey, Miss Donna. I want you to engage with us because this is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. So the guests that we have here that come on here every single night, this is an interactive engagement session where we want you to ask questions. We want you to talk back to us. We want you to say, ask all the questions that you want to ask so that you can get your breakthroughs. So Alicia, she's from Avondale, Arizona. Lisa Real Spit, she's from Baltimore. What's up? Big up to Baltimore. That's one of my favorite places to be, East Coast. Represent. Miss Tamisha, what's up, lady? Good to see you tonight. You are all hailing all the way from Colorado. Keisha Didell is from Dallas, Texas. And I am super excited that you guys are here. Everybody, just put where you at in the chat box. I want to make sure that you are subscribing to Fly Nubian Queen, because I want you to get alerts that I am coming on every night at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern, okay? So go to the YouTube page and make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I want you to also hit the notifications. Make sure your thumbs up, and then I want you to go over to Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter page, and I want you to subscribe and hit the notifications button over there. Then I want you to go to Instagram. Come and check me out. I am Constance Carter on IG. Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter on Facebook as well. All right, kings and queens. And also, I want you to make sure that you're getting all of our alerts. So make sure you text the word queens to 31996 so you can know everything that's going on with Fly Nubian Queen. All right. Now I got a really exciting guest. Her story, I talked to her today and her story was so amazing. I've known her for some years and, she's much younger than me, but her wisdom is paramount. And she got in a little bit of trouble a few years ago for some things. She was convicted of 14 counts of fraud and went to jail. And then she told me today she was in the hole. But the great thing, the beautiful thing about her story is that she's on the other side and she's helping other people. What's up, Soup Bone? To get to the other side. Roy Jacob, you said you're from Yaktown, Michigan. Lisa Real Spill, what it is, what it was, and what's it gonna be, baby. Nia Jordan is from Richmond, California. Keisha, what's up? All the way from Cali. But I want to introduce this young lady because the breakthroughs that people are getting as a result of working with her have been nothing short of miraculous. Her the way she do it is actually very unique. And we're going to talk about that. So I don't want to be before you very long. I'm going to bring her on because she is absolutely amazing. And she needs to be introduced to all of you at Fly Nubian Queen and all of the other platforms that we are on. I want you to meet this young lady because she is so wise. Her name is Miss Ashley. What's happening, Miss Ashley? How you doing, boo?
Hello.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. What a treat.
No, this is a treat for me. And you know what? This is going to be a treat for everybody that's listening. So I want to get right into it. You, Ashley, you were, so I met you a few years ago when we were putting together a little group. I don't even know what the group was about. I forgot. It was something about empowerment or something. I don't know. I'm about empowerment. You about empowerment. So we met on the basis of empowerment. But since we met, I just kind of followed on social media. I see you had gotten into some trouble. And I know personally that you were an advocate for children. Like that was your thing. You like to work with youth. And you got caught up in some non-melanated bureaucratic system got you in trouble because they got jealous because you wanted to. So let's talk about it. What?
So let me preface this with I was 26 years old.
Okay.
I was a mother and a wife. I was a mother of 3 children and a wife, no longer married. Thank you. And but I had a youth program for teenagers. I love me some teenagers. I think that teenagers are probably the most underrepresented and devalued generation, especially Black teens as well, when we know that if you look at the media, look at propaganda, everything is geared and shaped behind our Black teenagers. So I've always followed them and I've always advocated for them. And I had a youth program that I ran out of my home. And it ended up landing me at an after school program in our town. And it's a side of our town, Western Ranch in particular, where it's Stockton, but it's not. It's the results. When I was there, it was a result of gentrified Bay Area that got kicked out of the Bay Area and put in these homes in this one particular area where it's in Stockton. However, the school district was in Manteca, which anyone who knows anything about Manteca knows that it is Trump City, knows that it is clear people, and it is very old school. It is very old school in that thought. And I graduated out of Manteca Unified, and working in Western Ranch, seen a very big difference than where I graduated from. In the energy, in particular, the teachers are from an ag city. I'm trying to be as correct as I can.
Yeah, now listen, let me tell you something for our audience, okay?
Okay.
So these are the B1 people.
Okay.
Very pro B1, okay? So tell it like the PI is, baby.
Right. I'm from SAC too, Miss Alicia, originally. So I was in this odd space noticing that the kids were treated a certain way. Now, don't get me wrong, not all teachers and staff were, messed up, but a lot of them, it was very clear you have ag and you have city. And ag is very culturally different and very, let's call it what it is, white. And they have no understanding of what it's like coming out of Oakland, out of East Palo Alto, out of San Francisco, which is what our city's seen. We have a lot of transplants. So during that time, you have a whole lot of transplants that are being gentrified out of their homes, put into these homes and putting into this ag place where the teaching, the leadership is ag, white, follow entitlement. You are not valued. And then put into, you got these city kids where my mama told me, you can't talk to me crazy because we're going to have a problem. So there was a lot of funk and friction. And I went from the elementary school after school program to directing the high school after school program, where I fell in love. I literally, like, these babies are still with me to this day. They come, I've pierced several of them. I've literally, they're with me. So I got a quick glimpse of the culture and the environment at the high school level, and it was terrible. There was a first black elected school board member, Sam Font, who was sitting on the board at the time. And I was told, literally directed, not to associate with him as an employee of this after school program. I was told that if he ever came on campus, I was to directly call my supervisor, let him know that he was on campus because he was not supposed to be on campus. This is before I knew anything about politics. This is before I knew anything about what it meant to be a school board member. I had no clue, but I knew that I was to stay away from Sam Font, and I knew I did not like Sam Font because I was instructed by my very white boss, who was paying me good money to be there, not to like him. So, 26 years old, I'm going to follow the rules. And he put money in my pockets, feeding my kids. I'm going to follow those rules. Long and behold, he kept coming on campus. He kept being disruptive. He kept interrupting because he wanted to see how the program was running. And I had no clue that he liked me because I was also told that he did not like me, that he did not want me in my position, and that my job was at risk if I did not call them and let them know when he was on campus because he was after me. Wow. Now, me being Ashley, I'm not one to not like you and not tell you. Like, you need to know. You need to know I don't like you, and either we're going to figure out why I don't like you, or we are going to just stay at a distance, but you need to know. So one day, in the presence of my direct supervisor, he's on campus because I called them and told them he was on campus. And I just went up to him. I said, look, because at the end of the day, my loyalty is to our people first. So I have this black man in front of me. Let me figure out why I don't like you. So in the presence of my boss, which he will have to tell that day, excuse me, Sam, I don't like you. Let's figure out why.
Oh.
And he kind of took a step back and was like, no one's ever approached me this way. But yeah, let's talk. And in our conversation, I quickly figured out that not only was he single-handedly responsible for bringing the after-school program to the school, but there was a lot of bureaucracy behind who they put as the after-school program coordinators at the high school level. And turns out they had given over $125,000 to this program, of which I had yet to see where that 125 was going. So,
okay. So let's fast forward to when you connected with him. You conspired with Sam Font to get to illegally get voters so that you can move on to.
it's leading up to that, because directly after me and him connected, I ended up figuring out what was happening. I went rogue. So at this point, Sam is on campus. We are bringing the alternative high school because they told us no alternative high school students were allowed in our program. I said, F that, bring all my babies in. We did it the way we wanted to for about a good 2 weeks before they fired me.
Oh, shoot.
And during this time, the principal was extremely toxic. Like, I could not stand him. There were a lot of things that happened at that program that in his leadership and how the toxicity of the office was. Like, I just very, very deeply remember how bad it was for a lot of students. They would come in my office at lunch. They would express, I heard a teacher, I walked past a science teacher's class and I heard him say, and it was recorded, the only thing Black girls are good for is laying on their backs. And he's announcing this to the class. So I'm at war. Now, when the child reported it and sent it to the mother and the mother brought it to the school, the principal then wanted to suspend the daughter because she shouldn't have been recording him without his knowledge. So me and the principal off jump never got along. Like, I could not stand him. So my next response to Sam was, look, we got to get rid of this principal. Your leadership sets the morale. How do I get rid of this principal? He said, well, Ash, you would have to run for office. Now, we're 26. We don't know nothing about this. I don't. He does. He's amazing. I don't know nothing about it. I'm like, well, let's do it. Like, whatever. We need to get rid of this principal. We need to get rid of this after school program. We need to get rid of these teachers and some of these staff that were messing with students. Like, there was a lot of stuff that was inappropriate that was going on that campus that fumed me to be in position. Now, at this time, my ex-husband and I and our family, his family mainly, had a nonprofit organization that was deeply rooted into the community. So I was in Weston Ranch every single day. Not only am I working there, but his entire family lives in Weston Ranch. So Weston Ranch is my home. Like, this is where my kids are. My kids, when they eventually grew up, they all are still in Weston Ranch for school now. Like, this was my area. Everyone knew me by my name. Everyone knew him by his name. Everyone knew our families by their name. So it wasn't like I was some outsider sticking in. This was my community. So from there, we were living downtown at the time, in the process of moving out because we were going through an entirely different issue where I was living in downtown Stockton. Like, it was huge bad issue down there. Of course, it's downtown, so you could imagine. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to run. I'm not in Western Ranch yet, but we're moving into Western Ranch, but I'm going to run. And we put my name on the ballot. It was a collective. We had 2 staff members in the school that connected the address for me to use. And I was moving in there, but I wasn't in the home at the time that I put my name on the ballot. And I knew that. Now, what I didn't know is that it's illegal. What I didn't know is that it was perjury. Even though it says by penalty of perjury, I didn't read anything. Like, even when they brought up in my trial the evidence You can see on the evidence, I'm crossing off stuff. I'm miswriting things. Like, I'm not paying attention to anything. I have no attention to detail at this point. All I know is the last hour before my name can get on the ballot. I'm working on getting a house. Haven't got my house yet, but we're on our way out. And I got to get in this school district because these kids are suffering. Just so you can get a data number on it, 261 suspensions in 1 year compared to the equivalent size high school in the same district that's predominantly white, 61.
Wow.
Pipeline to prison in your face, literally. So at this rate, I'm putting my life on the line. I don't care, but I don't know either. I'm not understanding good old boy politics. I'm not understanding the connections. I'm not understanding anything in the background. All I know is that my Black babies need me. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this stuff happen and the change necessary. I don't know nothing about no $222 million budget. I don't know anything about, contracts. I don't know anything about anything other than get rid of that principal, get rid of those teachers, get rid of that inappropriately behaving staff, and make the changes that my kids need in my community that directly impacts my community. Weston Ranch is 5,500 homes. Literally, one way in, one way out. Nothing to do there. What happens in the high school trickles into the community. So when there were fights that would break out at that high school, there'd be shootouts in the community. It is a very different dynamic in Weston Ranch that I was literally fighting for. Bam, fast forward, name gets on the ballot. 3 days after my name gets on the ballot, I'm not knowing it's a secret that I don't live in the right area. I'm not knowing that my address being not real at this point is an issue. I do a community activating for where I'm at viral video. Like, I'm where my downtown apartment was. I started advocating for them because we were having issues with bed bugs. They weren't doing anything about. We were having issues with major roaches. They weren't doing anything about. And I knew I was on my way out. So I knew that I had to fight for the community that I was in while I'm running for another community. So I did a video and it went viral. In the video, I'm telling them that I live in this area. So it's never a secret during the campaign that I do not live in my area. But little did I know that that's illegal. So I'm just still not in secret, I'm not quiet about it, but I'm still fighting and advocating for both communities that I'm in. And we do no campaigning. The newspaper of Manteca, Ripon, and Weston Ranch calls me and says, hey, so do you live in the area? And I said, no, I'm in transition. I'm actually getting ready to be approved for a home in Weston Ranch right now. And I'm going to make that move. I said, but in the meantime, I'm on my way out. That is what I said to the paper. They ran, the only campaign that was done was literally ran saying Ashley Drain does not live in the community. So it was not a secret. Do you know I never campaigned, never put a flyer out, never went. I went to the Tea Party, Manteca Tea Party hosted something that I went to and they fell in love with me at. So even them so-called quote unquote racist folks that people call them fell in love with Ashley and supported me. And I got their endorsement. That's that side. So they weren't even a part of voting me in. They just endorsed me. I won. I beat a 16-year incumbent out of his seat by 1,502 votes. I beat him without campaigning.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Yeah.
So at this point, okay, what next? I won. I don't really, whatever. And it was myself. Sam was also on there. And then we had another guy, Alexander Bronson, who was 22. He was white and Mexican. So at this point in San Joaquin County, we have 4 elected officials under 26 years old, because you had Michael Tubbs at the time who was councilman, and they're all minorities. So San Joaquin County, if we were even focused on power of color, we broke history, because I don't know anybody anywhere with that looking at numbers under 26.
Right.
We were there, So bam, we're all in position. Tubbs sits on the other side of the fence. Us 3 are causing hell on this board. And we have no clue that these people are organizing against us. Like, none. I'm clueless. I'm like, look, I am publicly going for the principal. I'm publicly outing the Weston Ranch racism. At one point, I'm on the front page of the newspaper every single day for weeks. Like, my dad would get up, go to his front door. The paper would be on the door and be like, oh, my kid's here again. Like, And it was hard as hell. It was my first run-in with public scrutiny. I was devastated, but at the same time, I was still very pro-Black. I chopped off all my hair. I dyed it hot pink. I had black fists carved in the back of my head. I wore dashikis to board meetings.
Oh,
Like,
you were asking for it. You were asking for it. Oh my God, what is wrong with you? You gonna break
you,
one black.
Hey, I went to an HBCU. I went to FISC. So, like, you can't tell me nothing. Like, I know what my ancestors went through. I got this. This is me. Mind you, I have 3 children under 5.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
like, I'm literally all over the place. So, they came, girl. Like, they came for me like you wouldn't believe. I would be in board meetings and they would have to live stream the board meetings for the second floor to watch because we were overcrowded. Manteca had never seen so many people at board meetings. When I tell you, anytime I opened my mouth to speak, they would boo me. When I tell you the ridiculousness of it, and here's where it comes. They all came in red t-shirts, girl, that said the Sea of Red. White folks don't even live in Weston Ranch. Nowhere near. Like, when I tell you, it was the hardest, most challenging time for me because I'm learning politics. I am also learning that what closed session is, which this is what clearly let me know that if you think you know when you're watching the media what's really happening, you don't. You have no clue. If you depend on the media to tell you the truth about politics, it's a lie. And I learned that quickly because the way that they would spin my words, and I mean, I was like, I didn't say that. Like, it would be and there's nothing that you can do because they're journalists. I mean, it was just so you can get a kind of a glimpse. Sam still has the paper and he brings it out every once in a while. But there's one paper where they had a picture of our whole article was above the title of the newspaper. Think about it. So you know how you open your newspaper and you got the title and then it's the article? Nah, boo. Nah. They put us as the title of the whole newspaper. My picture and Sam's picture and Alexander's picture. Right when you open, there's no title. The title of the newspaper was underneath our article, literally in the middle of the fold.
Wow.
Right. Just so you can understand. So there's one particular person would come to the board meeting and say, Ashley, if you don't step down, we're going to bring criminal charges against you. Every board meeting he would get up, step down. I ain't stepping down. Get rid of that principal. Let's get rid of that principal and I'll step down. It took, to my recollection, it's been quite some time. It ended up being $225,000 to get him out of his contract with a positive recommendation, which I was pissed about. So we got him out of his position. We put the teacher on early retirement and the after school program changed. Simultaneously, while this is happening, while these changes are being made, I'm literally in this space of, okay, now my whole personal life is falling apart. Like, I should have been out of my marriage long before then, but now I'm crippled. Like, my marriage took off one knee, amputated one. Now this level of public scrutiny is taking off the other. Like, now and then I would go back to an email that one of the teachers forwarded me. She said, because I'm sick of this, that the teachers union president sit and said, and I quote, we almost got her. All we have to do is cut her off at the knees and she's going to step down.
Wow.
On my 5th year wedding anniversary, I woke up to Channel 3 News saying that the district attorney, Tori Berber Salazar, filed 14 felony charges against me. Now, I ain't even had so much of a speeding ticket. When police see me, I am always, thank you for your service. I have literally trained my children, whenever you see a police officer, thank you for your service. Why? Because I want that to be the last thing on his mind, her mind, before they come in contact with the Black person. When you see me, my blackness, and my black babies, we always tell you thank you so that perhaps if you have any issues, you may renege on some of your ignorance. That's just my philosophy on life. So I'm literally that person. So I had no clue what I was walking into. Never been before a judge before, never been to court before, not a ticket on my record, don't get any issues. The police officers when I was in elementary school and high school loved me. Like I didn't have any issues with the law. So I didn't know what I was coming into at all, let alone a felon. What? I don't even, people, that doesn't even match the articulation of how I live my life. Like, right. What do you mean? So bam, I get hit. I'm thinking this is gonna go away.
Yes. You guys hit the thumbs up. If you like what you're hearing so far, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you are sharing this on your page because it's getting gooder and gooder and gooder.
And it gets better.
Make sure you share this conversation on your page because we're getting through all of the pre stuff to where we are, where it gets juicy, and then we're going to take you over to the breakthrough part of the conversation, and it's just going to get better. So your friends need to hear this, your family need to hear this, your cousin them need to hear this, because here's the thing about it, and this is what I love about you, Ashley. You have gone through the fire and you have walked out of the smoke is not that far behind you, but you tend to do it with such regality and royalty with your head high. Like you, and I love the fact that you said that you went to jail because you wanted to go to. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But just the fact of the things that you went through because you knew that it was going to be something that's going to be able to help other people, and it wasn't just about you. And I love that about you. I mean, your life's mission. So anyway, keep going. You guys share this. Share this. This is good. We can't hear you. Are you muted? Are you muted? Nope, can't hear you now. So again, you guys, please share and make sure you subscribe to Fly Nubian Queen. And by the way, I do a Q&A every Tuesday. I did my Q&A today at 5:00. Every Tuesday at 5:00, 5:00 Pacific, 8:00 Eastern. Come on, go over there and subscribe to Constance Carter VIP. Come in, ask me some questions. I'll bring in some friends from time to time, like Ashley, Katrina, different guests that we have on will be in there. We'll be answering all your questions because what I did is I teamed up with Dr. Boyce Watkins and we decided to bring great information to the community for absolutely a low price of free for the first month. So we want you to subscribe to Constance Carter VIP so that you can have a VIP session with me and some me and some of my great friends. I can hear you now, baby.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Good.
So go ahead.
So I don't even know, Lord. Telling the story is crazy.
You got on your 5th anniversary. You found that you were being charged with 14 felonies.
So I didn't know anything. It's on the news. Like I'm like on the news on some felt like and I just thought that it would go away. Like I didn't know what I was walking into. And yeah, shout out to Western Ranch. So boom, my arraignment comes. So I walk in the courtroom and it's the most embarrassing thing ever hearing the charges read off. Like it's a room full of people and they're just running off the charges. Election fraud, grand theft. I mean, it was like, where's all this coming from? But then I go back to the man that said, if you don't step down, we're going to get charges pressed against you. So I'm kind of like still piecing together, certain parts and pieces. Now, me not understanding the judicial system, homeboy says, hey, this is going to be your lawyer. Work with her. She's a black lady. So I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, okay, good, black lady, we're in this. Not understanding that the entire judicial system is rigged on relationships. It's not about truth. It's about relationships. Wow. So if they don't like you, they're going to dog you out, period. If they don't like your attorney, they're going to dog you out. All the judges in this county, everybody hangs out. Like I seen the most realest meme and it said, screw Corona. Have you ever seen your public defender laughing with the district attorney?
Wow. Oh, okay.
Right. So it puts it into perspective. Like they golf together, they hang out, they get drinks, they eat lunch. Like in my situation, I was my first attorney. I ended up having 7 attorneys throughout my 4 years of fighting my case. They didn't like her at all. They didn't like her so much where I think I want to say 3 months after she, put my case down, they brought charges on her.
For what?
I want to say it was elder abuse. It was wild. Like how they even brought, like, I was like, oh my God, like it was crazy. So I'm not understanding what it is, but I ended up getting another attorney, and this attorney said, look, they want you to tell on Sam. Tell on Sam for what? What did Sam do? Well, that he conspired and put you in office, and this was all his idea, and you need to tell on Sam, and they'll take
on Sam. It'll go away.
14 felonies down to 2 misdemeanors. Boo.
Woo!
I said no. I'm not doing that. That's number one. That's not the truth. And number two, I did what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to do this. This is my community. This is what I wanted to do. Well, you didn't live in the area. No, and I didn't lie about it. And let me take that back. I was in my home, in my area, 2 weeks before I was sworn in. So that's the other Marriott in the situation. Like I legit was in my neighborhood doing the work that I need to do, lived in my area. Like I had a home, beautiful, the largest home I've ever lived in, to be exact. Broke as hell, no furniture, but I'm in there.
I think I came to your house, Ashley, when you lived in Western Ranch, because I was like, she didn't live in Western Ranch. I think I went to her house and she was in Western.
Right, but because it's Manteca and I lived in Stockton, most people didn't know that the jurisdiction, when you hear Manteca Unified School District, they don't understand the dynamic between Stockton. So it even in the papers, well, she doesn't. She lives in Western Ranch. What is she doing running for Manteca? Because y'all don't know that Western Ranch is Manteca Unified.
Right.
So they were able to really play on that. So I refused. They tried tooth and nail. I couldn't afford my second attorney. So then they handed me another attorney. This attorney tried to convince me, you have to take the deal. Take the deal. I'm not taking the deal. I'm not telling on Sam. Now, if it was a white boy, probably. But it's a black man. I ain't doing it. And then to tell, if it was a white man, he took me across against my will. Like, a white boy, I'm telling you right now, he going down. But it's Sam. Like, no, I know his heart. I know what he's about. I know when he comes to our community, I'm not doing that. You can basically kick rocks. And like I told my attorney, that went back and told the prosecution, kiss her ass is what she said. And I quote, I said, tell him I said to kiss my ass. I'm not taking a deal. And for 4 years, they tried. 14 years in prison, 10 years in prison. You're going to go to prison. You're a felon. I mean, they tried every angle they could. I eventually stepped down. One, because my marriage fell apart.
You was fighting charges. You were still on the board? You was like, on the board and we going to fight the charges? Oh, wow.
I got charged in April and I stepped down in August.
Wow.
But I stepped down after I had the principal of my choice in position. The teacher that I wanted gone was officially on early retirement. And that after school program was being ran by the right person. And that was in that order. I needed to make sure my ex-husband was still in position at that after-school program because he was in that after-school program long before I became a board member. So y'all not about to take that from my kids. At that point, I couldn't stand that man, but I knew what he was qualified for those kids. I knew that who was running that after-school program had the integrity, had the wisdom, and the education to make sure that our Black boys and our Black girls were taken care of. And he did his job. So I stepped down once that final slice of pie was in its position. And then I went and turned my paperwork in and said, I'm done. And it was a hoot. They hollered, they praised. Girl, you would have thought that Trump won the election back then.
Wow.
Like, I was their Donald Trump to Black America. Legit.
Wow.
So
wow.
I at that point, but I thought, and those board meetings were treacherous. They were, I can't even begin to describe to you
Was this
The
a paid?
levels, huh?
Was this paid?
No, this is a volunteer position. You get paid. I think they gave like a $400 stipend. That didn't even cover 1/3 of my rent to keep a roof over my head living in this area. This is
why I can't do politics. First of all, I'm volunteering for this goddamn position. And then I gotta fight to be here. Everybody against me. Everybody mad at me because I'm over. I mean, you gotta really have a really deep love for the community to do this, to push through all the challenges, to fight those people every day. People booing you every time you speak. People threatening you, threatening your livelihood, threatening your family, and you still go all the time. And you are trying to fight to make a difference. They have 14 felonious charges against you, and you ain't getting paid one single $4 a month.
And my cost of living doubled to move into the area.
Woo! Girl, you're better than me.
Right?
Somebody say you better than me.
I don't do that no more.
Right now.
I learned a lot of
about the community where they would get on a board, where they would fight the good fight, where they would risk prison time because they want to help the community. How many of you guys would do that and not get paid a single dime?
None. But when that principal stepped into that position, she went from 261 suspensions to 111 in her first year.
Wow.
And she would fight, saying, look, y'all, like some of this stuff I just can't fight for you on. Like, get your life together. She took a whole football team and put them in her backyard to swim in the middle of the summer. Like, she just was, because she lived in Weston Ranch. She just was the perfect principal, changed the entire energy of the campus. She was culturally ambiguous.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, her husband was a white man with both sold in a little bit, but she literally was culturally, and you ain't no way you could tell what she was, which was easy, because I'm also aware now, especially of how that works and how it's transitional. While it's amazing for our students, when she's actually in those principal meetings, when she was actually in those district meetings, she had to, and she was short, so she was able to really maneuver in a way that allowed for our children to benefit.
How many of us know that we have to advocate for our children? When you have systems like this, systems that are simply not made for our children. I have 3 boys. I have 3 sons, and one of the things that I know is that I have to be an advocate for my kids. They are going to the level set that's placed before them with my children, with my boys. Black girls don't even have it as bad as black boys. The standard for black boys, the tolerance level for black boys is so much lower. You do the same thing as somebody else, you're out of here. And so I've had to go, my kids go to school downtown, and I have to make sure, especially when they were in elementary school, like read the teachers' day rights up front. This is who I am. Not that I'm Constance Carter, but I'm mama. This is what I do. This is what you ain't gonna do with mine. Anybody with the last name that come up from behind, you got to know that they mama is here. And when we go to parent-teacher conferences, all 6 of us will go. Me, mom, dad, brothers, everybody is in the room. And they took note of that.
Yeah.
But they're willing to advocate for your children. And when you do, they're going to treat them a lot different. But initially going in, they came, they came with the BS. And I would have to let them know, hey, this is what we doing right here. And I didn't have to worry about it no more. But especially with my oldest son, when the other ones came behind him, they knew, okay, he a Carter, we ain't gonna F with him.
You have to be there. You must show your face. Otherwise, they're gonna treat your child like they're a docket number ready for prison. And they determine our prisoners by the 3rd grade. So like you gotta really step into that zone with them. But that was wild to see. Now, even board members were ridiculous. Like real racist in closed session statements being made. Like it was very, very interesting to be in that position and see behind. And mind you, these people who are running this district have been sitting on these boards for 14 plus years, old as all out. The guy that I met, my best friend's mom had pulled out a newspaper from back in the early 80s, I want to say, because she lived in that. That's how long she'd been there, where this board member that I beat said, Black people don't even know what they want to be called. It was quoted.
Oh, wow.
Just so you could understand the mind frame of who's running.
You know, and that's the thing for the people who are watching, who aren't from here, who aren't from California, who aren't even from the Valley. Like I come from the Bay Area, which, you know, where I'm from, it was very liberal. And when I moved to Stockton, it felt like I moved back about 50 years. And when I started working in Stockton, I seen the divide, and I seen how different people operated very differently. Like I remember when I posted my picture of my elementary school class on my Facebook page, and somebody said, "Wow, Constance, you was the only Black kid in class." And I was like, I noticed it because we never, you know, where I was from, I was the only Black kid, but I never knew the difference, right? But when I came out here, it was totally different. I was working at a company that was, you know, I was the only Black female manager, and there was all these Black managers, and they were like, well, I can't show home to an Asian person. I'm a cowboy from Turlock. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with anything? You know, or they would say racist remarks and they would forget I was in the room. And I came from Silicon Valley, you know, where diversity was celebrated. And so to come and have this mind frame, and it blew me away. So I understand that's the type of mind frame that you're dealing with when you're dealing with. And it's across America. I mean, this is indicative of especially a lot of like Midwestern states and towns across the country. We're dealing with that constantly. So it's so important that we are advocating for our children
and advocating for them with unapologetically.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll get into these rooms, and because they're in this astute position, you can become a little bit intimidated by. And I said, sitting as an after school program, and then when I became the school board, I was on campus. Like, I'm on the campus. I am for my kids, and y'all can't say nothing to me. Guess what? I'm everybody's boss. And that was the other thing too. When they fired me, I told the after school program director, I'm coming for you. And got her ass, excuse my language, but I gotta say it with that level, out of there. Quick. Like, I'm coming for you. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm coming for you. And literally came for all of them. So I went from being their subordinate to their boss. So imagine how a lot of these white folks with entitled perspectives were feeling now that you got this loud,
yeah, and you were unapologetic. So so you were convicted.
So I went through a trial. Because that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
I went through a whole trial, and they removed the only Black juror 45 minutes into deliberations because she refused to vote guilty within 45 minutes of taking back all the evidence. Mind you, 80% of the evidence in my trial was my Facebook page.
Guys, be careful what you write on Facebook.
Just so you know. They would have had more damning evidence if they would have looked at my Instagram, but whatever. 45 minutes of deliberations. They got rid of the only Black juror, so I knew I was going to be found guilty. The next day I went in, I was found guilty on all charges. Juror number 5 mouthed to me with tears in her eyes, I am so sorry. One of the jurors was a Lodi golf instructor that did golf instruction for the bailiff and several of the DAs in our department.
Oh, that's a conflict.
Oh, it was so much conflict in my jury alone. And the way that now that I've stepped out and got to see everything, the way that they did it and how the judge even worded things was very precise so that on paper it would look one way. But if you were in the room to see it, you knew what it was. So that's the other part too. Them stenographers, that don't mean nothing. That's a waste of time. That's not worthy. That is, they can manipulate that as much as possible. Like, let's be clear. That even the jury picking and how that's done, it's the whole process. Like, if there's one thing I can offer anybody, what you think about the judicial system based on what propaganda has told you, it's not it. It's not it at all. Like, that was such a huge awakening for me. Now, here's where it also gets interesting, because I wasn't even done with my trial yet. And Sam went from being school board trustee to running for city council, right? He won the area, but when it came to district-wide, 12 hours after he put his name on the ballot, they filed charges against him so that he wouldn't win.
Oh.
He had conspiracy charges. Then they ran it in the newspaper. I mean, when I say this is a good, so the guy, and that's the other part too, the man that said, if you don't step down, we'll have criminal charges pressed against you. His wife's name and signature and investigation was on my evidence. That made it to,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So then Sam gets charged, and now he's not going to win city council election, which I'm really glad he didn't, because Sam does not need to be in the forefront. He runs from the back. Like, that's where you need to be, boo. You create the changes over there. So, but they made sure he did not win that election.
By the way, he's one of the investors in my dispensary.
Yeah. That's my, like, and when I tell you, like, I saw him, he's a maverick, and I've literally poured into his spirit that it's only expanded him. So on the spiritual side, what was happening between me and Sam was the expansion of his spirit and his consciousness that allows him to be a power player in politics and in life. Like, that's where we got close. Okay. So I've invested into that. So I had no problem not telling on him. Like, we're not doing that, because I'm going to tell on. I did what I wanted to do. So after my trial, then I went for a mistrial, because I knew that my attorney that took me through trial failed on purpose. So much so, when we finally a year later got to my mistrial, he took the stand, and it's on record. He now works for the DA's office.
Wow.
Don't blame me, but it's cool, because I have no energy of anger. So I was found guilty. They said it's going to be 2 years in jail. So in my mind, I'm now prepped to go to jail for 2 years. Sentencing takes a whole year. Like, it's prolonged. Like, it's not this quick pro that the media tells you it is. Like, this is a long, drawn out, hurry up and wait process. Like, it's ridiculous. So then my sentencing comes, and it ends up being broken down from 66 days, that I can't tell you exactly how it goes, but they stack it, whatever. And it ends up being where I'm supposed to serve 35 days in jail or 44 days on house arrest and community service and or work. Well, I didn't want to do either. I wanted to go to jail.
Wait. Say that one more time.
I wanted to go to jail.
Okay. So okay. How many of you guys can say that you would choose jail over community service, over house arrest? How many here would choose jail over community service and over house arrest? Why did you choose jail over community service?
Well, let's be real. I am never, ever going to come in contact with this again. Like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to catch me involved in your politics. You're not going to catch me involved with your judicial system. Matter of fact, I don't like none of y'all. And so why not? Jail is like, if I'm just like, I'm fascinated. And keep in mind, I grew up writing my uncles and cousins in prison. Like, I used to write them 10 to 14 page papers. Like, I'm legit, like, I'm curious to know what it's about. On top of that, I know that there's injustice. I know that there are needs that are not being met. I'm not stupid to figure that out. And again, it's only for 35 days. Like,
only.
I was originally facing 2 years. And that was a BS picture they took of me too, Constance. Let's be clear. I cried at my sentencing because my cousin got up and started speaking kindly about me, and that made me cry. So they posted that, making it seem like I cared about what anybody was saying about me. I didn't care about what nobody was saying. My cousin made me cry. That's it. I didn't cry at all during the whole process. So I take it back. I cried when they removed my black juror because I knew I was going to be a felon. That part. So that's when I did cry. But other than that, they never seen me move. I took the stand in my trial and argued with the prosecutor. Like, I did not care. I was like, y'all, guns blazing. So I knew from what I heard from my uncles and my cousins in prison that the only way you're going to know and experience is to experience it.
I'll take your word for it, boo.
Right.
I'll take your word for it on how prison is, because I don't want to experience that.
No, but I knew I wasn't going to be in it. So it was like a month. And then let's be clear.
Wait, how many days? How many days?
30 days? So it's 37 because I ended up getting locked up in the hole when I was in there. So they added 2 days. But, and I'll tell you what happened with that. But I legit was like, I'm going to do this. And then I had a really good friend that I'm no longer friends with, but a really good friend that was also in my ear who had served 14 years in prison and was like, Ash, I know you. He literally helped walk me through so much of my life in that time. He was like, you need to go. Like, you need to experience that as well. Like, there's something in there for you.
Either. Oh, ex-friend. He told you to go to jail.
You know him too. So I was like, cool. So I had no one else was with me on this other than Aunt Sarah, of course. She was like, baby, whatever you decide, I'm rocking with you. You'll be fine. You'll be
Sarah, that's your auntie?
She's not my aunt. I gave her the name of aunt. She's my really close friend, but she's my elder. Okay. And she had been my rock through everything on the love coaching side. Like, it was just amazing to have her. So with them two in my ear and knowing that no matter what, I was going to be fine, everything just aligned. I ended up getting an assistant before I went in. So she took care of my kids when I was gone. She made sure that money was on my books. She made sure my bills got paid. So it just was lined up. But 2 weeks before, I was scheduled to go turn myself in for the second time because the first time I failed miserably. I was supposed to be there at 9, didn't get there till 5. So I was on my own time. Yeah, had a warrant out for my arrest and everything. Because I had to get my hair braided, had to get my nails done. Like, because, I had to make sure that I was ready for jail.
Wow.
I also heard that I had like 5 of my homegirls the night before I went to go turn myself in the first time who gave me the game. They told me what officers to stay away from. They told me to get my hair braided because I could sell the fake hair before I left, or I could give it away to the girls so they would need it. Oh, honey, yes. Like,
they recycle hair?
Yeah. Like, this right here, this is gold, okay? This is gold in jail, and they don't make you take it down. Right. So I was like, fine. I'm down. I'm going to do it. And I'm sorry. And then so I failed. I was turning myself in at 9 a.m. And I got there at 5 because I was getting my nails done. I was getting my toes done. I was getting my hair done. Getting my makeup done because my mugshot's got to be pristine. And they ended up filing for a warrant for my arrest because I didn't show up to turn myself in. So I went back to court the next day. And then they rescheduled my turn-in date for June. So I went from January to June. So I had another 6 months to mentally prepare myself for my turn-in. Turned myself in. Jail is, without sounding too crazy, incredible.
I wasn't expecting that one.
When I say it, like, it sounds really bad because I understand when you're in jail, especially because they hold you in jail when you're fighting a case and you don't need to be in jail and there's no bail for you. It's traumatizing because you don't know. Court is so hurry up and wait that if you have to sit in jail while you hurry up and wait, it taxes you. So you're more likely to take a plea deal because you just want to get out. However, having experienced fighting my case on the outs, having to be a mom, having to go through criminal court and family court sometimes on the same day.
Oh, wow.
Right. Having to make sure my rent is paid, having to make sure bills are paid, food is on the table, cooking, taking care of myself on the outs. Being in jail, and this is really hard to hear and even say, without being emotional, it's a breath of fresh air.
I can understand that.
Right? Because that when I think
A 37-day vacation.
you said what?
A 37-day vacation.
Right, exactly. Because you can't do nothing. There ain't no telephones. You can watch. I don't watch TV at all. So for me to be in jail now watching movies, I forgot what it was like to watch movies. Like I hadn't watched TV in almost 6-7 years. Like I didn't even have a TV in my home. So right. So now I'm in jail watching Marvel movies. Now at work they'll play Marvel movies. I'm like, jail. Literally learning about. Oh, it's my iPad. I'm like, why is this going off? Learning the ways of the jail, eating spreads. You know, my homegirl had put me on. It was like, whatever you do, go in there and say you're on a gluten-free diet so you can get some real food because you're gonna eat soy the whole time you're in there.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah. I went gluten-free. I used to trade my eggs
Because they were making a deal about the Trump supporter.
You said what?
They were making a big deal about the Trump supporter saying he was gluten-free. And
you need to do that.
Okay.
You need to anybody going to jail, you are gluten-free, you are gluten intolerant. You cannot have any gluten because you'll get real food.
Was it gluten that they were talking about, or he needed to eat organic food or something like that?
Oh, I don't know about that. But gluten, because you're eating soy the entire time you're in jail, and that's extremely toxic to your body. So I did that. I also knew who to look out for as far as officers who were terrible, so to stay away from. So when I first got to jail,
Were they abusive? Were the officers abusive?
To me, no.
Okay, to you, but you were put in the hole.
They were abusive in that way. So, so when I got to jail, I got to bypass being locked down for 23 hours a day, which I don't even know. I can't even think about that right now. What is that? It's the holding place before you get to the pods, but I went directly to the pods, which means I had my own room, and from 8 to 11, with the exception of from 3, maybe 5 to 8, it was something like that where you're locked back down. But for the most part, you can go in and out of your room. You eat. They wake you up at 4:30 in the morning for breakfast, which I did not go down for breakfast ever. You do your intake. Exactly. Thank you. I got to bypass. Thank you. I missed it. I got to hey boo. I got to bypass intake and go straight to the pods. And I already have money. I went in with money on my books because my girls gave me the game and told me to make sure you have money on you so that you can put that on your books immediately. So I immediately went in and started ordering food. Didn't know what to order, so I ordered a bunch of cupcakes, cookies, and candies. And then sat in intake for 5 days. On the 5th day, I had the girls out on the yard meditating, and we was on the beach at 9 a.m.
Shut up.
Yes, doing 90s at 9. So we would sing live jams at 9 on the yard. Like I made it home quickly. Then on my 5th day, they took me out of the pods and put me on the farm. Now this is where manifestation is real.
Okay.
Because as soon as I stepped into the farm, I looked at the room. It's 62 bunk beds and it's 62 women. And there's no privacy. I had my own room in the pods.
Why?
The farm is more free.
You
can, it's not as locked down-ish, if you will.
Okay.
So that's where low crime, low offenders. I'm considered to be a white collar crime. So that's where I was supposed to stay and spend the rest of my time. You can have a radio. Like there was a lot of stuff. But as soon as I walked into that building, I said, I don't want to be here. This is not my cup of tea. I was on the farm for 2 days, went and did the laundry, because that was the job that the farm does, is the laundry. The nastiest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
What?
The men are, because they're doing the laundry. So you got blood, you got boo-boo, you got pee, and it's piled. Like, it's piled. You got to sort through it. You got to put it in the washer. Right. Lasted in that for 1 day. And you're there all day long. And then
not to come back?
Huh?
You got to choose not to come back to doing the laundry? You got to choose that?
If you do, you get put in the hole. So what happened was I just said in my mind, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to spend the next 30 days here. Like, this is ridiculous. So a rumor spread relatively quickly that I was a snitch. Me.
Who was you snitching on? You wouldn't snitch on you got all that time because you wouldn't snitch. So how all of a sudden you become a snitch in jail? What happened?
So the rumor spread relatively quickly. I don't know how, but it got down to the force where I was too intelligent. And clearly when you're in there, you understand what they meant. I was too intelligent to just be a inmate. I had to be a snitch working for the DEA. Because drugs was very rampant in there. Officers would bring in, people visiting would bring in drugs. Girls would be in the bathroom getting high. Like, it's the farm is very fluid. You know, it's not hard to do. One of the girls, they have sewing. So one of the girls ended up in the hospital with a needle in her gallbladder because someone put a needle in her burger. Like, it's vicious. Real vicious. So then the officer, the sheriff, comes to me and said, I'm going into chow. And she says, hey, are you Ashley Drain? I said, yes. What's up? She said, well, there's a rumor going around that you're a snitch. I said, I ain't no snitch. I'm in here because I didn't snitch. What's up? She said, well, can you make an announcement to the girls in the chow that, just so that we don't got to put you in isolation. And I'm like, oh, for sure. I ain't trying to go to no hole. Like, what's up? But I already had an inkling on who started the rumor. Then the one who started the rumor, I already knew from her energy, she was the real snitch, right? So I'm a speaker, darling. Let me talk to all of you and inspire you in the chow. And I get to talking, and then I focus all my energy on her. I ain't nobody no snitching here. I'm in here because I didn't snitch. If you got a problem, you got a question, you got an answer, I give it all to you, whatever you want. Here's where it is, but ain't nobody no snitch. And I looked at her. And she's a little Mexican chick, young, special, on drugs. Are you talking about me? Are you talking about me? Well, honey, if the shoe fits. So I'm just in her, like, I'm not moved at all. So she stands up, like she gonna do something. So I sat down right next to her in the chair and said, we could talk about it. I don't do all that fighting stuff, but we could talk. And I sit down next to her. At this point, the guard is like, okay, that's enough. Well, she's still going. I don't want to talk to that B, and pushes back. Doesn't push me, pushes away from the chair. That's what got me sent to the hole. So I followed. No, I don't fight. Let's be clear. I do not. This does not fight. I don't got time, no patience. No, you scratch my face, I'm mad. So we're not doing that. I know how to talk my way out of stuff. So to be there and get put into the hole because I followed the sheriff's directions. And then when I got to the hole, first of all, I cried for 2 days straight, right? Because I'm in the hole. And it's a smaller room. It's metal room. There's literally devil heads drawn in pencils on the walls. There's like wild. I'm literally in tears. One of the officers comes to the window and thinks I'm gonna hurt myself because how much I could not stop crying. Like I just couldn't. At one point, I remember turning on to the wall and I knew it was a nail that carved into the paint. I just want to go home. Oh. And I just remember crying and be like, me too. Then they sent a report and the officer said that I failed to listen to their command and was combative. Bitch, where? Excuse my language, but where? I listened to you. And that's why I'm in here.
Wow.
Officer Ball. That was her name. So I was in the hole for 4 days and 3 nights, and then I got put back into the pod, where I finished my time. And that's where I kept my 90s at 9 going. That's where I stayed in communication with my children.
90s at 9?
We would sing 90s music at 9 a.m. on the yard every day.
Okay.
Got to keep your sanity. So we would sing.
You made this up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Okay.
I had to do it. It was fun. Like I had to have fun. Like I always laughed. I went through a period where I did 4 days in silence as a meditative focus, where I did absolutely no talking, and even the guards tripped out. And that was just because I was the negative energy of being woke up and yelled at. Even though it was a group situation at 4 a.m, that's not how I start my day. So it began to kind of wear on me. So before my birthday, I did, after my birthday, I did, 4 days in silence. I spent my birthday in jail.
What was this?
This was my 31st birthday, right? Yeah. Yeah. My 31st birthday was in jail.
How long ago was this?
Huh?
How long ago was this? About 2 years ago?
2 years. Mm-hmm. I'll be 33 this year. So this June will be 2 years that I've been out.
Wow.
And I got to meet women that I heard about in the newspapers. One woman had, killed her husband, and I got to hear her side of the story. And she's going to prison. I've had letters from these women. I spent time with these women that I never would have talked to on the outs. I made really good friends with the white chick that had a swastika on her forehead, like tattooed. I got to deal with women. Every single one of those 64 women I was locked up with experienced some level of childhood trauma. There wasn't one that hadn't. And to be in jail was re-traumatizing them. So I knew that while I was there, I was going to do my best to make an impact. It got to the point where I couldn't sit at a table by myself for longer than 2 minutes before my table was swarmed with women. It got to the point where when I would go outside, we would be outside having fun, and most of us were Black, having a great time, and guards would be nervous because, oh God, they're together, and all we're doing is singing and laughing and playing, with the balls outside. One girl, they said that she got a spider bite, when in fact she literally had a cyst that was treading to her heart, and me and another inmate popped the cyst, like it was like it in the yard. Like I learned how to make spreads and learned what that was like. I learned how to play gin. Like it was something I would have never ever experienced. I heard so many different levels of stories. One girl, we called her Guadalupe, had hard accent. She was high on meth and walked barefoot from Lodi to Manteca to bash her cheating boyfriend's face in with a hammer. Like the stories I heard, the level of respect that I have for these women whose society has totally rejected. Can't nobody tell me nothing about the women I got locked up with. If ever I see them, and I've seen 3 of them since I've been out, it's literally all of, what can I do? How can I add to you? That's where I'm at with it, because jail gave me that. Like, it literally taught me that I don't care who you think you are. I don't care how big and bold your title is. If you don't know who you are and don't own who you are, whatever it is, whether it's messy, whether it's nasty, whether it's grimy, you ain't, and I'm being gentle, shit, because I'm a big cusser. So, like, legit, I also let go of jail of other races using the N-word. Because everybody uses that word in jail. Everyone. White, Black, Mexican, it's normal. So all my beefed up, puffed up, in jail, I'm gonna fight all y'all? Nah. So I let go of all of that. Like, it's genuinely, as insane as it sounds to people, in San Joaquin County Jail, is used as a term of endearment, literally. And it's said with respect to us, as insane as that seems. And so when I got my ego out of that, because I am pro-Black, and ain't no white girl about to sit up there and use that word until I heard that white girl story. And when I heard where that white girl was tatted up on her face and was a butch, like all of that, and when I understood she had killed 2 people before she was 16, like, there, in her mind, she Black. And that word is acceptable. Like, and there's no way around it. And you ain't about to fork me out. So have at it. Wow. Whatever. So I had to let go of so much of myself, talking to my kids and hearing my baby's voice while I'm in jail, getting letters and the importance of those letters, seeing, money getting put on my books for no reason. Like, I had people I didn't even know knew I was in jail putting money on my books. Visits, honey. My assistant had to schedule my visits. Like, my visits were taken every week. You couldn't just pop up on me. Like, they were gone. But those visits meant everything to me. So I have a different love, respect, and admiration for people who have served time. Like, it takes, if you get out of prison and out of jail and you're able to function, I worship the ground you walk on. Wow. Especially when you've done years. So the fact that society has this idea that when you go to prison, or especially women, speak for my culture, Black women who will automatically look at a Black man who's been to prison and say no. Number one, they need therapy. Let's be clear. Whole lot of therapy. And they also need to be very clear about what they did in prison when it comes to other men, because that's an issue as well.
Well, I heard so what I heard from two different people who worked at prisons. Two different people told me they didn't even work at the same prison. But two people said, and I don't know how many people who've been in prison in here, you could agree with it or you could not agree with it, but they said anybody who's in prison over 2 years, any male who's in prison over 2 years, they both said this, have had some type of sexual contact with another man.
I disagree with the word anybody, but I do believe that majority.
Let's say majority, because I know some that I flat out know for a fact didn't, and then I know some that say they didn't and did. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and you'll know, and I've dated and been in situationships, because that's all that it could ever be until they get healing, with men who've done time in prison. So, but my respect for the warriorship that it requires to have the mentality to get out of prison and or jail and still not go back and make something of themselves. Oh, honey, I may not be able to be with you, boo, but I'm going to respect you, and I'm going to make sure that you have everything that you need to be able to make it successfully in this world for our community. Why is that?
It's a warrior to get out. You have to literally heal some part of your brain from the programming and the devaluing and the demeaning and the conditioning that prison does to you. And as a Black man, of which I love Black men to their core, you gotta be amazing to not get out and be broken and on drugs.
Wow.
And and that was just 37 days of being in jail. So my mind would just run and race with what prison must be like. So you gotta go after our men who are trapped in these hoods from generational and historical generational issues of being suppressed, oppressed, and violated, and put them in your prison, because heaven forbid they become educated and then are out in your system would cease to exist. It couldn't stand the warrior that the Black man that's in prison is. All of our most truest, authentic, strongest warrior Black men are in prison.
Wow.
On purpose. This has systematically been broken down for generations. And when they get out and they're successful, you a lucky one if you got one and they're able to regenerate themselves and heal themselves. A lot of them can't even heal themselves, because to tell on themselves when they did that gay stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because gay for the stay is real.
Yeah, gay for the stay.
It's real. When you've done that and come out of it, that's exceptionally challenging to admit, because don't nobody know what it's like in prison until you're in prison. Until then, it's just myths and fables. So what are you having? My 37 days let me know. If I hadn't dealt with that in my past, and know that I don't want to deal with any man that's ever been on the down low in life, if I hadn't had to deal with that, I think I'll be.
You dealt with a man that was on the down low?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And that in itself is a whole book. Okay. So if I hadn't dealt with that, then I would think that I would be able to deal with the man who's honest about what they went through because of what prison was. Like, I understand.
Wouldn't you be scared that he would be tempted to go back?
I wouldn't know until I was in that situation, because in my past experience, all I wanted was honesty. I can't say what I wouldn't do until I'm in that situation. And I can honestly say that in my personal situation, I just wanted honesty, and let's see where we can go if you're honest about what your impulses are, because I also understand that that's not natural, that came from somewhere. And on some level, some clickage level, some chemical level, and in my past, it was because he was abused, which I personally believe that men are more sexually, Black men, Black boys are more sexually abused than Black women, children. Sure. That's my belief. I'm not gonna hold nobody to that, but in my experience, yes, by men and women. And me being a molested child, I understand.
That's why you gotta watch your kids. That's why my kids ain't never been able to spend a night over nobody's house. my kids, I'm always asking them, hey, has anybody ever touched you? Anybody ever did this? And that's a conversation that is very common at my house.
Oh yeah.
And you got to ask those questions. You got to be vigilant. Nah, they can't. You can't spend the night at their house, but they can come over your house.
Right. Because you're safe in my home.
Yeah, we'll be doing checks.
Yeah. I don't even like my kids going to other people's houses. You know,
yeah.
it's very, but that's a whole other situation, because me being molested, I have a completely different understanding of what that is, and even with my molester. So it's a completely different scenario for me. But it's prison, men in prison, women in prison too. It's challenging. It's not even, ain't no joke about it.
13 years. Lisa Bowen said she spent 13 years in prison.
So, right. All hail the queen. You are the Beyonce in my life, because you did time in prison. Like, it's wild. The politics, everything. Like, it's just unbelievable. And prison is different from jail. Like, it's a whole different game. Like, jail is one level. And from what I heard from the women who were going to prison and even coming back because they were being charged from activities that they did in prison, like the prison getting over the wall, like it's mind-boggling. Prison in itself, it's a different monster, completely different monster.
So what was the biggest lesson that you learned from going to prison?
Jail. I went to jail.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from going to jail?
I learned a lot. Don't be afraid to face darkness.
Why?
Because in darkness you find the greatest gems that give you the best wisdom, that give you the best instruction and guidance on how to behave.
What was the thing that you took from prison that's really helped you in your life today?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I was reading this.
What was one of the things that you took from prison that you are applying every day in your life?
That I took from jail that I'm applying every day in life?
You said in prison. Yeah, what was one of the things that you took from jail that you apply in your everyday life? Hypothalamus.
I think that's cliche to say not judge anyone that you see, but everyone has a story, and to be open no matter who they are. So I work downtown, so I see everybody, and I've named some of the homeless and named them different things that I come in contact with. So one is, it's only getting better. And the reason that I'm even able to have a conversation with it's only getting better is because of my jail experience taught me that she has a story.
Right.
She has a story, and she walks around with this mean mug, and she's vicious, and she'll spit on you if you don't do what she wants you to do. And I came in contact, and she asked me, can I have some money? Just scrounged up. I said, I don't have no money, but I'll take you to get some coffee. Let's go. And she's like, okay. And she went, and I was like, why are you so frowned up? Like, and because I've been to jail, I know how to talk to them too. A lot of times people talk to them like they're better than them, or they'll talk to them like they don't know, or whatever the case may be. And I'm straight to the point. Like, what you up here frowning for? You breathing, ain't you? My life sucks. Okay, well, cool. Well, it's only getting better. Can you say it's only getting better? I can't say that. People are supposed to feed me. Ain't nobody about to feed you. What's your name? I'm not telling you. Well, I'm going to feed you. I'm not going to know your name. But now every time I see you, it's only getting better. And once a week I see her and she looks at me. I don't care how high she is. I don't care how mentally gone she is. When my voice rains, it's only getting better with a scowl on her face. It's only getting better. All right, good. Thanks. Like, if I could put that thought into your brain, it's a seed. So that's what I took. Everybody has a story.
So now and Lisa Bowen says, I learned that you aren't the same person when you come out, either that you'll be better or worse. But the good thing is you have a choice.
Yep.
Good thing is you have a choice. So you do a lot of spiritual work.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
And you help people find love. And actually, Ashley, because we're an hour and 19 minutes in, I want to talk to you tomorrow. I mean, do you have time tomorrow to come on? And
yes, I'll come on at 6 tomorrow.
Because I want to talk about the work that you do today.
Yeah.
because this was such a fantastic story, and I'm so glad you walked us through that, because I think I know it's life changing, and I know that I mean, for somebody to choose, I'd rather go to jail than to spend 300 hours doing community service, or however many days in house arrest.
44 on house arrest.
44 days house arrest. Let me just, and you said the district attorney said no. I would rather you come and work in my office. I'll give you some.
I've been to her home.
The DA?
Yes, 2 weeks
The
after I
lady,
was brought out
the
of
lady
jail.
prosecuted you?
Yes, I've been in her home.
Why did she bring
She
you to her?
loves me, and I actually kind of like her. Even when I was, I like her. I do. I hate this part about myself where I can find the good in people. But even though she is a reason that I am a felon, I really like her. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever. She could prosecute me today, and I'd still be like, I really like her character. I like that she is politically savvy. I can separate me from her because it wasn't personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Her position, the level of pressure that she was under, in the politics and all of that. Like, I never spoke ill about her in the public eye, even though when people try to say I never, ever, because I understood the position of politics. It's just because she's the head DA, she ain't got a lot of control that happened underneath her, other sort of firing people. So I understood where position she was in and what side of the fence she needed to sit on for her longevity in her position. So at the end of the day, everybody got to be out for self. Yeah. So I understand that. I didn't take it personal, and I won't say I adore. I like her. I love her son. I think her son is amazing. I think he is, absolutely amazing. However, it's just interesting. I did. So it was all business, even though you were saying that. And it was business. It was politics. She didn't know me. She only knew what the paper said. She had never met me in person. There's a lot that goes into it. Then when you watch how gracefully 4 years of me being consistent in who I am transpires, I'm pretty sure there's some wishes that you could do things differently and could have done things differently. And I've literally spent time with her and have helped her see things even within herself in my very own office. One of the last things I've said to her within my office is, how do you want to be remembered? And once you figure that out, you'll move differently. So because I don't have a judgment of people, it gives me access to a higher perspective that gives me peace. I don't ever get the short end of the stick.
A higher perspective that gives you peace. So that way you will never be the victim.
Ever! I can't be. Mm-hmm. I can't be. Was it a black thing? Yes. I identified as black so much so where I put a black fist in my hair and shaved my head bald and wore dashikis to board meetings. So therefore, I got that.
Yeah, you asked for that.
Right, I did. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It just means it is what it is. Now where I'm at, I sit pretty. I have the love of my life as my man, as will be my husband. My children are well taken care of. I'm taken care of. I live my dreams every day. Like, what am I to complain about? Who do I have to complain about? Nobody, nothing. It is what it is. There are people I don't like, but that's just whatever, their fault.
So where you sit right now, you are in a what? Where are you?
I'm in my office.
Is your office? So the district attorney was in this office?
Yeah.
What did she do? What's she coming there for?
Well, she ended up coming getting some sessions. Didn't know she was getting a session, but she was talking to me. Had to come see me about some community work and what some avenues that we could take to inform people about how the system works. Because she really is about change. She really is. I think she's in a really odd and stuck position because you are still beholden to the people that put you into office.
Wait, isn't this the office that had the people in blackface for Halloween one year?
Yes. Oh, we brought that out in my case too. We definitely, that good old Sam, he brought that on up. Yes, it is. But those people that were in blackface are under her, in positions of power, and it's really hard to fire a DA. It's like firing a police officer. Wow. So you got to do some tumultuous things. So me understanding that perspective, me also understanding the position that she's in, I really feel like there's potential power, but also at the same time, there's a limitation because of the position. So I don't have a judgment of her. that's given me access to a world I didn't even know about. And I've been able to single-handedly influence situations where our young Black boys are not being necessarily penalized by the system, but guided and put into different programs. I've been able to connect that.
Yes. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
it works.
it's about impact.
Yes.
And you impacted people throughout your journey. I mean, there's been impact. There was impact in your story from the beginning when you were helping the youth. There was impact when you were going through the trial and the things that you had to persevere and the counseling that you had to give to even Sam and walk him through his journey. And then there was impact when you went to jail and you made a difference in those people's lives. And then there was impact in your own life where you had your own spiritual awakening. And now there's impact that you're doing in the community. And then your healing work, which is what I really want to talk about tomorrow, the healing work. But it's unique. The healing work that you do is so unique because look at where you are. And I want everybody to look behind Miss Ashley. This is her office. This is where she does healing work. Tell us what you do with your healing work.
I pierce. I put needles in people.
What do you pierce?
I pierce everything. I am a certified, went to school. I was put through school. Somewhere, the owner of the shop that I work under seen a gift in me and put me through school.
So you pierce faces, noses,
everything, vaginas, nipples, everything.
Y'all do Brazilian waxes over there?
No, but we have a lash tech that is phenomenal. I've been on these, sleeping on these for 3 weeks, and I'm the worst, and they're still in.
Y'all open?
Yeah, we're open.
Y'all supposed to be open?
We are supposed to be open with certain limitations that we abide in.
Okay, make me an appointment with the lash girl.
Yes. Oh, she's phenomenal. You'll never ever go back to strips ever in life.
Okay, and that's what's up.
Yep.
So you pierce people, but you also do what while you're
love
piercing?
coach.
Okay, so how does that work?
So you have 2 options. You have 3 options. One, you can come in just for a straight love coaching session, which is me showing you how to navigate through your adversity, your pain, your agony in the now moment. Or you can book a spiritual piercing, which is when we're going through a love coaching session. Within that hour, we're also doing multiple piercings on your body, each representation of you releasing your trauma, releasing your pain, releasing your breakups. 9 times out of 10, I do piercings all over the place. But when we're talking about spiritual piercings, I'm either helping people resolve themselves from abuse or breakups. Those are my 2 things. Breakups are huge. A lot of girls come to me after a breakup and we're piercing noses, we're piercing tongues and lips. I did a 57-year-old's vagina. She was getting her hood pierced. And yeah, that was amazing.
Amazing for who?
For me and her. Like and she was a nurse. Like it was, I even posted, like I tried to block out.
Our 57-year-old vagina's wrinkly?
Hers was actually very much so intact.
Okay.
Black don't crack or shrinkle.
Okay. So when you pierce a vagina, what does that do for the vagina?
Depending on the piercing, I prefer the hood piercing because the ball sits on top of the clitoris and gives a sensation based off of where I place it. That's my preference. That's really the only one I like to do. But you can get your labias pierced. I mean, it's up to you. And I am not cheap.
So this piercing, that it helps during sexual intercourse, or
it helps during sexual intercourse, helps when you're sitting down, helps when you're walking. Yeah, if it's placed properly, yeah, it does. It gives you orgasms, lots of them. I don't want one, but
wow. So you do this.
Cool.
So you'll do a piercing, you'll do a coaching session with a piercing, or you'll do a coaching session only, right? And the coach. Okay, and the spiritual thing. So the breakups. So if somebody they experience a breakup, how do you help them heal?
You're coming to me because you're in a breakup. So we're going to talk about the breakup, and we're going to talk about what you can do to navigate through that pain of the breakup, help you observe the pain of the breakup so that you're not getting subsided in it. And then when we pierce so I've done 4 spiritual septums that were based in a breakup. And after the needle went through my forceps, and a complete emotional breakdown happens. It's nothing like it's amazing. So by the time that they're like, and it's like a full on breakdown, by the time they're done crying and getting themselves together, they feel so much better. And that usually leads to my next booking where they follow up with consistent coaching after that.
Okay. Wow.
My goal is to coach you to where you don't need me. That's my goal. I don't need you to need me.
Okay. And then the abuse coaching that you do is what?
People, so those people don't know that they're coming to me for that.
Really?
No. They usually are coming in because they're fighting depression or anxiety, and I'll hear a little voice say she's been raped, she's been molested, and I'll say, so, and I'm very casual about it. So how old were you the first time you were sexually abused? And then that, what? How did you know? Well, I've been molested, so I understand. I was molested in my childhood, so I completely understand what is it you're going through. Now, what if I told you that being molested was actually a gift and not a tragedy?
I've never heard that before.
And from there, we begin to work, because that right there is you have a choice to choose how you want it to be. You don't have to make it a negative. It's an event that happened. That's a part of your spiritual DNA, a part of your awakening, should you so choose to use it as that. You don't have to, but I'm here to show you the glory of when you do. Wow. I'm a proof of it. And that's where it goes. And I haven't had one person not see the benefit of it. I've literally gone as far as a client of mine who is also now a dear friend of mine. She's honestly one of my favorite stories, but literally watched her boyfriend blow his brains out in front of her, brains all over the place. And 24 hours after that, she gives me a call, and 30 minutes into the conversation, we're literally laughing about it. How do you do that?
How do you do that?
Right. That's what a session with me is like.
Okay, so we're gonna continue this conversation tomorrow, because this is getting like too good. Actually, tell us where they can contact you, like right now, because somebody may need to contact you today. So they might be going through their own breakups or spiritual, because you also have you're also clairvoyant, right?
Uh-huh.
And so you obviously use that within your work as well.
Absolutely.
And you take like people over Zoom, or is it all in person?
It's however, FaceTime, whatever you have, however you want to, we can just navigate together and see what works for you. I personally like being in person, but I understand that there are people all over the place. So I'm open.
There are people here watching from all over the world, literally.
Right. So obviously I'd have to use technology to help gravitate towards that. And I'm open. So Majestic Ashley on Instagram would be the best way. Ashley Lynn Hampton on Facebook is available, and those are probably the two best ways you can get in contact with me. And I'm open to a certain degree. You can't just hit me up and you're not willing to do the work, because I'm not going to argue with you about your belief system. I'm not going to argue with you about your religion. I don't care about any of that. I just want for you to understand that it's your mindset. It's what's going on in your mind. Number one, how to train your mind, but even beyond that, how to observe your mind, because you're not your mind. So there's an easier way. So I'll figure out where your knots and bolts are, and then we just begin to kind of unravel from there. But I'm not going to fight for you to change your perspective. That's just not what I have time for.
Woo. From Florida, she said she's ready. So listen, if you guys want to contact Miss Ashley, go to Majestic Ashley and hit her up on IG and schedule your appointment. But we're going to have her on tomorrow, because I want to dig deeper into, and it's so good that we had, the background and the foundation to see who you are and what's made you qualified to be able to speak into people's lives. And we'll go into more of what made you qualified and how you are today and how you operate and how you help people, and the some of the tools. We ain't gonna give it all away, but some of the tools that you use so that people can, because there's some things that they can walk away with just by listening to you today that can transform their life. And I believe that, if you give people something, they'll always come back and needing more. So there's never nothing too much that you can give, but, just giving some people just a few tools that they can use so that it could transform their lives and they could take that step towards the transformation. So damn, Tomorrow, same time at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tell your friends, grab your friends, and make sure you share this on your page because Ashley just straight put it down. Everything that you talked about, it should be in a book, it should be in a movie, it should be in a documentary. Everybody needs to know your story because I know people, there's a lot of people that have hardships and a lot of people have gone through some things that you have gone through. The way you've come out of it, the way you tell your story, first of all, and the way you've come out of it and the things that you've done as a result of it is absolutely incredible. And so, it's so life-changing. And I mean, I know you already know that, your life is a blueprint. It's there to help other people. So keep spreading the good news, keep the word, keep doing what you're doing because it's so impactful. Follow this girl on IG, y'all. Follow her on Facebook. I asked her, what's the website? She's like, like she's just so much into the work that she's like, it'll come, And I love that about you. I love that authenticity about you. If you want your breakthrough, this is the one, and we're going to talk more about it tomorrow. So tomorrow night, same time, same bat channel. And oh, by the way, make sure you subscribe to ConstanceCarterVIP.com, and we'll do a Q&A session every Tuesday at 5. You guys, thank you. Was there everybody said it's so dope. We've had some great feedback, great interaction, and we're going to get off this thing tonight. All right, you guys, say bye, Ash.
Yeah, CEO, wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder that can teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychological.